Welcome to the Black AF1 Pod. We're your hosts. I'm Roy, and my co-host.
So I'm not lovely anymore? Wow, how the tables have turned. Well, I'm Raina.
Oh gosh.
And welcome to the first episode of Black AF1. Anyways, so for those of you who don't know me, which is probably everybody who's listening, bar 5 people, I'm Raina. I'm from Nigeria. Raina is not my real name. I'm scared of people's juju finding me, so I'm hiding my real name. So I'm juju, obviously I'm Nigerian. I'm a final year law student, and hopefully I can get rid of this education is a scam life very quickly. And yeah, I don't know why I'm doing it. I'm super dumb, unlike my lovely co-host Roy, who is a smarty pants.
Why? So tell us, how did you get into F1?
My sister got me into F1 like an eternity ago, it feels like now. Like basically over a decade ago, I guess, is when I got into F1, like right at the beginning of Lewis's career. But when I became religious about F1 was more like 2011, 2012, that was when like watching every race. Then like 2013 was when I started watching like practice sessions, qualifying, like going on Twitter, like reading the articles, knowing everybody, like all up in everybody's business basically. And yeah, that's how I ended up here. I have an unhealthy obsession with sports in general, really. Tennis and F1 are my main passions. Football as well, but let's not talk about that. My team is doing dreadfully. So let's just stick to, Lewis Hamilton and Rafael Nadal are my twin anchors in life. What about you, Roy?
Oh, before me, I just wanted everyone to remember that you basically started back in 2007. So even though you see her wilding out on Twitter on the timeline,
I am not wilding out.
I might look like the serious one, but trust me when I say this, Raiden knows way more about F1 than I do. Like, it is not even close.
Roy's just trying to be nice so I don't cook him. I'm still gonna cook you regardless. So like, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time trying to be nice.
Fair enough, but it's true. Okay, so me, about me. I mean, my name is Roy. Obviously, I always welcome people to pull up. I live in Chicago. I get yelled at for trying to tell people the neighborhood I get in.
Yeah, so no, you are too. No. You are too comfortable sharing your personal information on the internet. Like this is how I know you did not grow up in Kenya. This is how I know you moved to the white man's land so quickly because you are too comfortable sharing your personal information on the internet.
I will look, but I
you're
will give you
you're out here in spaces giving basically your zip code. You're like, oh, do you need my longitude and latitude so you can come kidnap me? I'll give it to you. You need to
but that's the thing.
Calm down.
Chicago is so big.
Chicago is so big. Not for the witches.
I could tell.
Not for the witches. Do you think it's mere mortals who are coming to find you? No.
I'm an architect by day. And I just kind of chill out. I got into F1 really kind of during the pandemic. And I ran track in high school and college. So I've always been into speed. I've always liked cars.
Is that why you look the way you look?
Something like that.
Imagine you're a typical Kenyan athlete during the Olympics. That is what Roy looks like. For those of you.
Except I sprinted. I didn't do distance. Yeah, so I broke the mold a little bit. But now I am a very typical Kenyan frame. If you know what a typical Kenyan frame is, you know what I mean. You have an idea of what I look like. But yeah, no. So in California, kind of got into Formula One through Drive to Survive.
Red flag.
And
JK to all the right? DTS fans. I'm joking.
Yes,
I fucks with y'all.
And so I caught the last half of the 2020 season. I know I caught Turkey, obviously, and I caught a few races even before that. And at that time, I was waking up. I mean, I'm in California, so these practice sessions are at 3, 4, 5 a.m. So I was waking up for those, staying through everything. I was obsessed, and I'm not a typical sports watcher. Like, Raina loves watching all her sports. Like sometimes I'll call her to make sure she catches the ones that are on our time zone.
Yeah, Roy wakes me up to watch Nadal. Like I'm not gonna lie, he's a real friend. He wakes me, he'll be like, I'm like, can you just FaceTime me? He's like, that's like 4 a.m. your time. I'm like, yeah, Nadal's playing. Like, so that's gonna be the next week because obviously Nadal's playing. So honestly, when we met on Twitter, I thought Roy was just like a creepy dude. Cause
Whoa.
no, not creepy like that. Like just like I thought you were a bit too friendly. Like firstly, your profile picture had this smile that was just disarming. Okay, for those of you who don't know, Roy smiles with his full 32 teeth and is it's very uncomfortable for me. I don't trust people who smile. You will understand this later when you begin to realize I have a Daniel Ricciardo agenda. You will understand how like smiles just disarm me. Anyways, we're rambling. I think maybe onto more serious conversations.
Yes.
I'm gonna try and be serious. I'm gonna try and not slander anybody in this first episode. Let's talk about testing. Obviously the time zones like were iffy for you, so you didn't really watch testing.
Yeah, just a little bit. I think I saw most of the first one.
For me, usually reliability is what I focus on in testing, and I will say like I feel like good reliability probably for test one, the ones that suffered were like Haas and Alfa Romeo. Mm-hmm. But for this one, it's been I think Williams and McLaren for test two that have like suffered the brunt of like extended periods not being able to be in their car. Obviously, Haas, they've gone through a lot of changes between the two tests. Firstly, how do you feel about them getting Magnussen in the car? Like, obviously, I know you only watched him for like a couple of races before, but
I'm excited to see Mick Schumacher have an actual driver to compete with, and now we can get a real benchmark to gauge him on, right? It's not saying that K-Mag is amazing.
No, K-Mag is a very solid driver. Like he's a very solid driver with good experience. And I do think it's important because I think last season, definitely Schumacher's overhyped because of how bad Mazepin was. And like for anybody who knows me, they will know I do not rate Mick Schumacher. So like I'm excited to like maybe see, although I think he's lucky that K-Mag has come in his second year because traditionally in junior series, Mick has been very much abhorrent in his first seasons in like a new category. So I'm excited to see them against each other. I think Haas has just had like terrible luck, but then I don't feel bad for them.
Yeah.
Obviously,
not at all.
You reap what you sow, and employing a sexual abuser will only get you so far. So
and an oligarch.
That's about that.
No, something really interesting actually about this year is that with the driver lineup changes that we've had or switch ups, but then also from last year, now we're going to have a second year where these newer drivers to the teams are going to be fully acclimated. So I feel like we'll now be able to fully gauge whether Daniel Ricciardo is back or ever left.
I feel like you wanted to trigger me. Did you want to trigger me? Because you see, my issue with this is, last season was the first ever season in my times of watching F1 that I've heard the excuse of acclimating so much. Like acclimate, like, and I understand like to a degree, obviously they had like less testing days and stuff, but like, no, okay. So I'm excited for this year because obviously they've had this, obviously, Daniel Ricciardo is going to use this illness as an excuse for like 6 months. Oh, Norris.
Yeah, and this is the first time Lando beat a teammate too.
Exactly.
This is the first year Lando beating a teammate.
And it's not like science is the next coming of Mary or Jesus. So you do with that what you will. Like, take that information and I don't want to push anybody anywhere, but process it as you will. But
and then it's good you brought up Sainz because I was gonna jump to Ferrari next because now we'll have the second year where now Sainz, I mean, if you want to do the whole getting acclimated use of the
he was already really close last year. I think he surprised a lot of people. For me, my beef with Sainz has nothing to do with skill. Like, I think he's a very good driver. My beef with him lies in other places, such as his right-wing ideology, but we'll save that for another podcast. Don't want to hit you guys too heavy and from day one. But I think Ferrari were obviously looking the best team in testing, not in terms of I don't know if they're going to be like P1 or whatever, but They had everything. The car they came in with, they kept
as an outfit.
they kept the same thing over the 6 days. They have their, so by the end of the testing, they had their balance good. They had their speed. Like everything was fine. Like nothing went wrong for them. Obviously, in Barcelona, they suffered from and I know I'm butchering the word, porpoising.
Yeah, porpoising.
Porpoising? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Porcupining. They suffered from that. But hopefully, like, it wasn't as bad this week. Obviously, Mercedes are looking to they're having the worst of that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm confident they can like fix it or like make some adjustments like that'll help it by next week. Obviously, I think a lot of the issue for Mercedes is like they changed a lot of stuff coming into week 2 of the second testing, or the official testing, as F1 likes to do it, just because Bahrain paid them a shit ton of money for exclusive testing video. But this week's testing, they were very much starting again. So like, whereas some people are like on day 5, day 6 with their car, they're basically on day 1. Like, and they say like they haven't changed the concept of the inside, but like a lot of the things outside will affect the car. And I'm no like techie, so I don't want to like speak out, but I still assume like it requires a lot of work. On the upside, they got more laps in this week than last week, I think. So definitely a lot of data gathering. Obviously, we'll come to the teammate battles later and what we think how it's going to pan out, but the media are having a field day. Every opportunity to talk about like Russell and Hamilton and what Hamilton's going to do now, and just chatting a whole lot. Honestly, a lot of bullcrap. Like, we all know their agenda will continue to agenda against Lewis till the day they die. So
no, I mean, talking about Lewis, I know there was that video where he was getting interviewed real quick and he was saying how they were having kind of like a tough time wrangling the car, but Lewis doesn't have a good poker face, and he was smiling and laughing. And usually when Lewis is saying they're having a tough time, he never laughs or smiles like that. And maybe I'm reading too much into it. So
for me personally,
I don't know what your read on that.
I think it's more that like he knows it's testing. So I don't think they're faking their issues. I think there's more speed in the car. I think their issue is more towards having the right balance for this. Like, I think they're having setup issues is what they're having. For me, that's what I think. That's why, like today, especially in the morning with Lewis, they were doing a lot of setup changes and a lot of long runs, like basically no quality runs from them. And they didn't even do their usual like glory runs that they do at the end of the last day of testing. So, we'll see where it goes. I feel like Bahrain might be like a merge of like last week's car and this week's car, like kind of taking elements that work. They'll improve, because even last year, the difference between their car in Bahrain testing and Bahrain race was huge. Like in testing, they were nowhere.
Yeah,
exactly. And I
feel like they're just setup gods. They just know how to tinker and tweak their settings to get there, because
I think they work hard at it. They're very and they have very smart minds working at it.
Oh yeah, exactly. As we found out by the end of the season last year, like especially at the start, the Red Bull was the better car. Mercedes just did so much setup from testing to Bahrain that you couldn't tell just how weak the Mercedes was.
Yeah, for me, I think they were pretty much the better car up until like 4 races to go, and even then they were in like Jeddah, they were like so close. And like in Qatar as well, Lewis pulled out a magnificent pole lap. I don't even want to think about last year, but yeah. I think another team like Williams, I think their testing has been stop and start a little. They've had like issues, like minor issues that basically, the thing about testing sometimes is like a minor issue, you have to find the minor issue, and then basically you just lose a whole chunk of time, even if the original issue wasn't like a big deal, which is what happened to them yesterday. Like the second day of testing, they had like, I think Albon said, not Albon, can't believe that man forwarded his way into an F1 seat. Albon said they had like a hydraulic leak or something, and basically kind of just ruined the entire day. frustrated, but like they look decent. This is the best I've seen them look in testing in a couple of years.
One quick question I have.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna kind of divert quickly to Alpine, just because I remember
God, Alplan.
Because I thought Yost had said, or somebody over in Alpine was saying that they were gonna sacrifice reliability to turn up the speed and power of their engine.
Obviously, we're not seeing that.
Yeah, so I don't know. What they did.
Omar Safna, who's the Alpine team principal, no less we forget, has moved from Aston Martin to Alpine, was in the commentary box today, and he did mention that like they were a bit behind on like a lot of the stuff they had to do, so they weren't gonna do quali runs or short runs or whatever, or low fuel runs, because like they still had so much stuff they had to cover. So I do think they've lost a lot of time. Day 3 of first test was basically like a zero situation for them, because I think the car call, I don't remember. I just remember seeing Alonso out of the car. It's obviously that gave me a little bit of pleasure. Well, Valtteri was looking good today in the Alfa Romeo. Obviously, I don't know if you were watching yesterday. Ted Kravitz gave his prediction of what he thinks the
grid,
the pecking order is gonna be, and he had Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, I think.
Oh, that sounds already great.
And
I don't even like Ferrari.
Then I think he had, I might confuse these places, but I think he had AlphaTauri, McLaren.
Oh wow.
Williams, Aston Martin, Alpine, Haas, Alfa Romeo. I think that
one more team.
Alfa Romeo. Yeah, oof. I think that was his. But like today, I don't necessarily think like previous years you could tell like Haas and Williams were the bottom barrel, but I don't think it's as clear. I think for me, I think he's a bit. I don't think the AlphaTauri looked as good in the second test as they did in the first test. And obviously, I remember them looking really good last year testing, which kind of didn't pan out because there were just a lot of bottle moments from AlphaTauri, from their strategy, from their drivers. Like they had such good pace, especially beginning of this, and like Pierre Gasly qualified like 5th so many times, and then just on race day for him to be like nowhere.
Pierre carried, true, but he did still have some good.
No, he had he had good races. He had a podium.
He suffered a little bit of he suffered a bit of luck, but I also feel like Pierre honestly put that team on his back, and this is no ill will towards Yuki, just statements of fact. Because I like Yuki. I like him well enough. I can't say he's one of my favorite drivers, but like Pierre put that team on his back. If Yuki had been getting more consistent points and crashing a lot less, like they definitely could have ended up a place higher.
I don't think so though, because like Alpine obviously got lucked into like 2 podiums from a podium from Alonso, and Hungary. They had like 40 points or something ridiculous like that, or like 35 points exactly. They had the race win, and then Alonso was like P4. I guess what team have we? Okay. McLaren obviously are having brake issues, I think, or like overheating issues. I honestly do not pay attention when they talk about these other teams, just because
I don't either.
I don't like most of them.
That's honestly.
McLaren, you obviously missed this because I think you were off the timeline, but McLaren have secured Oscar Piastri as a reserve driver. Like Alpine have not loan, but like they have a contract now with McLaren that says if they're not using, obviously they have first dibs, but Oscar is now also McLaren's reserve driver in case of any situation.
Well, we're just hoping Alonso retires so that we can now get Oscar.
Yes.
On this pod, there's 2 drivers we have. There's 2 and sometimes 3 drivers we have zero love for. Me, myself, Alonso, and Max forever wish ill on the track for them in terms of like placing. I hope they're well physically, but
yeah, definitely hope they're well physically. For me, obviously, I have a way longer list, and we will get to that when we discuss teammate battles. Last team we haven't spoken about is Aston Martin, and honestly, I don't remember anything much coming from them. Like, I think it was a pretty much
they just kind of floated under the radar. Nothing,
which was basically.
I think
They had a couple of reliability issues, I know, the last round, but honestly, these 3 days I've been watching, I don't remember much about them. Like, and I've been watching. Like, I don't know. I kind of zone out. The commentators annoyed me a lot this week. They annoyed me a lot. Like the constant presence of Will Buxton alone was enough to have me like switching between that and like Netflix. Like it was just so frustrating. Like they keep saying, "Oh, let's move on from Abu Dhabi," but the
And they
moment
bring it up.
they see Max on the track, they're like, "It's so good to see the number one back on the grid. It's so good to do this. It's so good to see that." I'm like, Jesus, oh my God, Jesus Roosevelt Christ. Like, no, thanks. Like, just move on. Like, I don't know. They interviewed Christian Horner way too. I don't understand. Do they pay this man? Like, is there some sort of like situation going? Like, he gets way too much screen
Honestly,
time. Does he not have
I
a
used to
job?
think I used to think American media really loved like to sensationalize and love drama, and I've learned that like as much as we do the European, but also especially F1, they love it because there's no reason for
British media
anyone
is
to
the
be this
most
catty.
frustrating thing. British media is very frustrating.
There's no
And I
reason
feel like
for a grown
they
man to be that
obviously
annoying all the
I watch
time.
tennis, and like British media put way too much pressure on like their tennis players. They make them out like they're
Yeah.
like the next coming of God. And like it's the same in F1 vis-a-vis like George and Lando.
Yep.
Obviously not for Lewis. Wonder why that is. Is it
I
because
still can't believe at
he's not
Silverstone there
white?
was more orange than Mercedes. That blew
No,
my
because
mind.
obviously McLaren, like they've been waiting for like their white savior to come all along, and now last year they had it because obviously Lando was in a competitive car. Still couldn't get a win though.
I wonder if this year there'll be more Mercedes just because
Yeah,
we
because
now have
George, because obviously then George is a better driver than Lando. So
I feel like this is a great time to transition kind of into our team battles.
okay, you want to start from the bottom of the grid? Haas?
Okay, so Haas, to be honest with you, I'm favoring K Mag. I feel like he has experience and he also really wants to prove that he deserves. And if Haas is a midfield team, like a genuine midfield team,
K Mag has
like
the goods. No, if Max, like that's all I can say, because in the years that Haas were a good team, K Mag was bringing it. He was consistently in the points. No, I'm gonna give that to K Mag. No, I will give it to K Mag, not just because he's a better driver, but just because I don't rate Mick Schumacher. Anyways, let's move on. Alfa Romeo.
If we're doing Alfa Romeo, my money's on Bottas. I love him. Like I love him. He's I just want to hug them.
I have a love-hate relationship with Valtteri, which I'm finding is heading towards love now that he's no longer encumbering my driver. Like now that he's no longer disturbing Lewis and like he's not fucking up like Mexico 2021, I'm fine to like love him as a person. I never had beef with him. Like obviously he's white, so like there's the range of his personality is not really stretching too far. Gotta remind you, like in case you forgot, this is what the agenda was in the title. But yeah, so I don't know, like he seems like his personality is just what? TikTok, coffee, his girlfriend, like that's pretty much it. Like
I mean, he's finished.
Exactly.
Like, you know what it is?
He's giving more than Raikkonen.
He's like in between
Raikkonen
and Mika. Yeah, and Mika. Like he's like a little bit more on the Mika side because he jokes a little bit more, but he's very like, like
stoic.
I don't even say austere. Yeah, exactly. Stoic. That's it. But no, I like him. He's like a teddy bear.
Okay. So here's the first like controversial teammate battle.
But before we move on, I do want Zhou to do well.
Oh no,
I do want Zhou to do well.
We're here for people of color.
Exactly. And he loves Lewis. So if you love
like
Lewis,
I have a lot of thoughts on Zhou that like will unfold as the season goes on. I think there were better choices for the seat, but like I'm always here for people of color getting a shot, and he's a solid. I don't think he was the best driver out there that could have gotten the seat, but he's a solid driver. He has a couple,
solid. All right, let's see Williams.
I think maybe you should go first because I have so many thoughts.
So sorry for all the Albon fans out there, but
there's no
the
Albon
Lewis
fans
agenda
listening
is
to a podcast.
no,
They
because
don't like me.
There's a few, they don't like you, that's for sure.
Maybe
But
they'll
there's a
come
few
for you.
Albon
But let's be
fans
honest, a lot of people don't
who
like
are
me.
Team
If people
LA.
were coming to these podcasts because of me, we would have like listeners, and I can name them. Shout out Felix.
So I mean, my main agenda, as always, is Lewis Hamilton, and so sure, he's contracted by Red Bull, so he has to say certain things, and so if he has to say certain things, then I don't have to like him, right? And so I don't hate Alex Albon, like, but I'm not here championing him either. And I used to not hate Latifi. Again, like, we're Black, and so I appreciate the drivers who knelt when they didn't have to. And so I obviously he's not that great of a driver, but
Who do you think is gonna come out ahead?
I think Albon.
You think Alex? Okay.
He just
okay. My thoughts on this teammate battle are very complex because I don't actually think Latifi is that bad. I think he's a bad quality. He doesn't have like pure pace, like qualifying. But I think he was racing George so many times. Like he was actually giving it to George like on race days. That is so I think Latifi's underrated when it comes to like what he can do during the races.
You think he's like a Valtteri?
No, it's opposite of Valtteri, because Valtteri is like I call him merchant, exactly. So opposite of Valtteri, and we all know Albon's race pace is there until he spins on his own and blames science. Literally, is what Albon's race pace is all about. I have a lot of issues with Alex Albon. I think if you allow me to go on a tangent for a little, Roy, permission. And you can come for me. My Twitter handle is @FormulaSexy. But I think Gasly's season at Red Bull was half season, I guess, was less disappointing for me than Albon's full season. I think no. His half season was good, but his full season in 2020 for me was so disappointing. Because if you look at this, and I've said this on a couple of Twitter spaces, Gasly came in to Red Bull in like a year where like Ferrari or Mercedes were they were just Red Bull were just for like if the track favors us vibes. So already, and like we know he who must not be named is a better driver than Gasly.
Yeah.
So already, what is he getting? And obviously, there's Lewis, there's Valtteri, Leclerc, Vettel,
yeah,
and Max. So already, the best he can do is P6.
Yeah.
Like on a good day, the best he can do is P6, and not everybody's Lewis Hamilton.
That was back when the Ferrari was quick.
Exactly. So not if they had an illegal car for part of the season. Don't come for me, Ferrari fans. So like not everybody can give their good day like every single race. So already there was like that was already an issue. So meanwhile with Albon literally had 3 people. He just had to be behind Lewis, Valtteri, Max, and then there was Albon. 4th place was his because Red Bull were behind Mercedes, but far ahead of anybody else. So tell me why he was always languishing in 9th and 10th place, fighting with Renault and AlphaTauri. Why are you there? What's your purpose? And then he would finally like qualify bad, claw his way back to like a good position. And then suddenly you just see he spun or something is happening. He had way too many points outside of the points finishes. Gasly was like always like 9th, 10th. Like he was doing bad. I'm not saying Gasly didn't have a bad season, but Albon had way too many times when he was just not in the, like, he had just disappeared. Like, he was just like, oh no. And also, I think they didn't like Gasly. Like, they didn't like, and how Marco and Fingy said that, oh, Gasly was rude and stuff and requiring changes. So I do, like, for the teammate battle, I think Latifi can run him close. But I have a feeling, I'm just going to go with Latifi. Like, and if Albon fans can clip this if it doesn't happen.
No, but here's the thing where that does make sense because George, out of all of the new young drivers, George is by far the best of them all. He was the most accomplished, right?
Yeah, coming into F1, definitely the most accomplished.
Latifi was going against the best of all of those other drivers. And so like if we're just gonna pretend that
And
like
the thing is, yeah, I don't actually think Albon's a bad driver like before he came to F1. But since he's come to F1, like I don't know if it's being in Red Bull or the pressure or whatever, but like let's just wait and see. Like I don't think the guy deserved to get the seat back, but like he's gotten it and like let's see what he does with it. I think there were a lot of other options, but we move. Okay. AlphaTauri.
AlphaTauri. Oh, obviously Gasly.
Gasly. Okay, but I think Tsunoda's going to be closer. I think we're going to see the Tsunoda I saw in F2 this season.
So this is the one thing where Drive to Survive helped gave me a little bit more kind of like insight, at least on Yuki.
Show.
Yuki just seemed a bit too overconfident and like too gung-ho, where he'd always just kind of be pressing on the gas. I don't know how much of it is true and how much of it is just DTS kind of time storyline, but I do think if Yuki can kind of bring himself under control, right, we'll get Yuki of Bahrain, right? And Yuki in Bahrain was actually making it like, uh-oh, Gasly, like you might have had a decent season last year, but like Yuki is right next to you, right? And then he kind of just fell off from there.
I think he has the raw speed. I think he has the racing ability.
He goes over the line. That's the thing. He needs, if he understands where his line is, he'll be fine. Because he kept crashing.
He kept crashing because he was looking for Crashing. He kept crashing because he was looking for the limit of the car, and he found it.
Exactly.
No, but like
constantly,
he's a young driver, so like I think that is to be expected. Mostly, it's causing millions of dollars in damages, but it's to be expected.
Here's the thing. I'm not saying that Yuki. I think Yuki is fast. I think the problem with Yuki, because I mean, I've known other athletes like this, right? They don't know where their own line is, and they're constantly crossing it. And to be a successful athlete, you can't just be good. You also have to be able to understand yourself, your body, and whatever your tools are. And Yuki spent way too much time trying to figure out where that line was, which either it says A, he's hard-headed, or B, he's just not perceptive enough to figure that out. And the sooner and faster he can do that, right, the sooner he can understand he doesn't have to prove anything, right? Like you don't need to be better than your teammate immediately. This is a long race, not a sprint, right? As soon as he can figure that out, I do think he can take it to Gasly. Because that first race, I was genuinely worried because I was still when I was super fanboying like Gasly, and I was like, "Wow,
yeah,
Gasly,
you're
you really are
obsessed
going to have competition."
with Gasly.
I was not anymore. But like if you can figure that out, I do think it will be a challenge. I just don't know if he will. And Gasly's proven this year, especially throughout the year, that like he pretty much willed AlphaTauri to where they were. And so I feel like he's only going to continue to grow and mature, right? This is another year where like he's going on off of the speed and now he's getting experience. He's been racing, right? And kind of going back to what Ted Kravitz was saying, which is why I was excited to get to the AlphaTauri and Red Bull. If Red Bull and AlphaTauri really are just one place on top of each other, that just one separated, imagine having AlphaTauri have to race Red Bull. Like imagine they're close enough in terms of like speed and pace at certain races where Max has to fight Gasly or Yuki for position. That would be amazing.
Well, they'll call them off. They'll call them off.
If they have to do that constantly and consistently, I feel like F1 will have to address that because you can't have two full teams who can always give team orders, right? The only reason why they got away with it in Qatar is because they tried to pretend that Gasly like ran wide on a turn, on a corner. He didn't. There's no reason to be running wide on. So if they're constantly together like that, they can't outright call those team orders. Otherwise, I'd hope Mercedes and some other teams would be like, hey, this is BS. You can't just like guarantee one team will always be ahead of the other. But anyway, I think it'll be Gasly, and I'm really looking forward to having AlphaTauri and Red Bull fight.
Okay, I don't think that's gonna happen, but I'm gonna be polarizing and say I'm gonna be polarizing and say Yuki. I think we see the beast.
I'm here for
Yuki
it.
is this season. Okay,
I'm here for it.
Aston Martin. Stroll and Vettel, in case you don't remember who their drivers are.
No, I'm trying to think. Because here's the thing. Lance Stroll, when he's on it, he's on it. But Lance Stroll, when he's off, he's really off. And I guess you can say the same thing about Seb, but like last year he did pretty decent last year, right? I didn't pay attention too much to him last year.
Who are you
he
talking
got the
about?
podium and then like he lost. Seb. He didn't do too bad last year, right?
Yeah,
I mean, he beat Stroll.
Yeah, the Aston Martin cars were.
I'm gonna say Seb. I'm gonna say Seb and move on. Seb and move on. Say
okay.
who you want.
I'm gonna say Stroll. Just because
I know you are.
But
is this because of your agenda?
No, it's not because of my agenda. I think Vettel has reached the end of his. I think he's been on a down. I think his skills have been like trending downwards since 2018, and I think Stroll is a solid driver. He's just not consistent enough. I think Stroll has speed. Yes. He has race pit. He's just not consistent. And sometimes I think he gets frustrated with himself inside the car, and then does stupid things like the move we saw in Hungary. Like he gets frustrated because he's like, I know I'm better than this. Because like, okay, last everybody knows he's there because his daddy bought him a team, but he's not undeserving of his. Like, okay, I'm sure we can list other better people, but then F1 is like literally money and nepotism. So like, whatever. I'm just gonna say Stroll.
Alpine. I hate Alonso from now until forever, and so I'm going to give it to Ocon. It doesn't make sense, but I don't care. I'm giving it to Ocon. But I also hope that Alpine is a terrible car so Alonso can quickly get out. So I never have to see his face in F1 again. Who are you giving it to?
Ocon. Well, I obviously I despise Alonso. That's known. He's racist. So I don't think I need another explanation for why I hate him.
Let's see.
McLaren.
McLaren. Yes, McLaren. So with McLaren, we have obviously Lando and Danny Rick. To be honest with you, I used to really like Danny Rick until he said his little like news isn't that serious business or whatever he said. So I'm anti Danny. And I've never liked Lando. I think his sarcasm is just him hiding his power level. He actually is a little bit of an a-hole. However, I feel like my dislike of Danny at the moment is greater. So I'm going to call Lando. Lando clearly proved last year that he could do it. And I don't trust that Danny will get acclimated quickly enough, because even after he had his race win, which low-key was gifted to him because Lando still had more pace that race.
Yeah, but McLaren wanted that one too.
Exactly.
Okay, I think Lando's going to get it. Obviously, if you know me on Twitter, you know my thoughts on Daniel Ricciardo. I will still give them to you. Daniel Ricciardo is, you don't, like I said earlier, you can't trust a man who is smiling. Why are you smiling with all that is going wrong in the world? Why do you have a smile on your face? Explain yourself. Why?
She's saying these things about me, guys. FYI.
Yes. Also, you. But why you always smile? Like, honestly.
I like to. Can I smile? I like to
honestly,
smile. It's good to be happy.
Ricardo gives me like liberal white dad who's liberal but won't let their daughter date a black man vibes. It's like
low key. High key. Let me not say low key.
It's not low key. It's high key, and obviously he said the N-word, so that's pretty much unforgivable. What else has he done to annoy me? He has no talent anymore, clearly. Running the streets as a pedestrian and then trying to chat shit.
I don't understand how he went from beating Vettel first time to like, and technically like he's beaten Max. The only time Max has ever beaten Danny was when all of a sudden his car just started having reliability issues.
Not all of a sudden, you make it sound like it's a conspiracy theory. You're like, all of a sudden.
No, but when he announced he was gone, he went from one retirement to like 4 or 5. Like that's when Max beat him. So let's be honest. So how do you go from being that good to that?
Maybe all those other drivers were just shit. And like Lando Norris is the true GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah, jokes. Obviously, I don't like Lando either, because how is your whole personality milk? How is your whole personality milk? Like your identity, not everything milk, literally revolves around milk. Like
not the milk
merchant. Like I don't even on a milk pappy. Shout out to Milk Pappy. Anyways, yeah, no. So I'm gonna call it to Lando, not because of anything, but I'm not seeing race wins in his future. Like, if you don't know when to pit for inters, then really, are you a serious driver? Even Jensen Button, who is an accidental champion, knew when to pit, like knew when the track was wet, and like, don't even get me. I think, oh my god, we need to do an episode like in one of those, like, you know how they do, like they have like so now, you know, this race week is like back to back, but then it's like 2 weeks for Australia. We should do like the episode that week should just revolve around the drivers that I've retired that I have beef with, just so I can, because obviously I will not get to cook them in the day-to-day, in the week-to-week, because they're not currently actively racing. So I can just have like a little 20-minute something for Jensen. Oh.
No, we can do that.
Grosjean. I have time.
Moving on.
Ferrari.
Now we get to Red Bull.
No, Ferrari.
Oh, Ferrari, yes. Why did I forget? I forgot Ferrari.
Obviously, I vote for Charles. He's too hot to be losing to an ugly man like Sainz.
I actually do like him.
And obviously, he's a very good driver.
I do actually like
also
Charles. I'm just waiting for Demon Charles. Okay, I just need to
like
Silverstone.
You know it's there. You know it's there. Charles. Oh, I can't wait. Anyways, I'm definitely Charles because firstly, he's a hottie. Yeah, Nicolette, he's a hottie. Secondly, he is a very good driver. Thirdly, yeah, no, you can't be losing to an ugly like Sainz. Also, if you don't want to hear me call people ugly, this is not the podcast for you.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Yeah, like Roy's nice.
If you want her to say, I
you can start a petition for Roy to get a different co-host. Like, I think that's.
I won't be calling anyone ugly, that's for sure. But also, if just pretend, Raina said, in my opinion, before every time she calls somebody ugly. That way, you don't have to get really like perturbed about it.
It's not a matter of.
But it's really not that bad.
It's not a matter of opinion though. Like, it's fact. Like, some people are just ugly. Okay. Anyways, but I think somebody, okay? What is somebody? Show me this person. Show me this somebody. Obviously, if you're expecting somebody, you look good to someone because she's your sister. You people look alike. But let's not talk about incest on our very first podcast episode. I don't think that's.
I wonder which driver this could be.
I don't think that's appropriate. Voldemort would not appreciate us discussing him on our podcast.
Oh,
but yeah, easy Charles. I think okay, Sainz, cool. But I think Sainz is definitely
a great driver.
And also, I think if on the days, if it comes down to a championship battle, I think Sainz is a driver who can really get them the constructors. Like, if, like, let's say for example they're fighting Mercedes, obviously in previous years when Lewis has been like fighting constructors championship battles with other teams, like, I'm not saying Valtteri was there when he needed Valtteri because he wasn't, but sometimes he was there. Like, he was consistent enough, and like the second driver of the other team was always shit. Like, Raikkonen and Perez always just disappeared. Like, they just
listen. We're gonna get to Perez real quick.
Yes.
But for anybody out there who thinks Perez did something this season, he did not.
He did nothing.
They had the fastest car, and he was gone the whole season.
No, it's his Perez, qualifying pace for me. Like,
yes, Perez is a good racer. He can race well. Perez actually can race.
Don't want to say anything, Sean.
Man has no speed. He doesn't have speed. He just is a good. He has good racecraft. Which, funny enough, if Perez and Max actually became one driver, then they maybe could beat Lewis.
Oh, if Perez and Max were one driver, they would. Perez and Max as one driver is literally.
Is Lewis Hamilton.
Perez and Max as one driver is actually Vettel in his prime.
Low key, that is probably it. Okay, now moving on to the loathsome Red Bull.
Okay, who do I want to win? You know who I want to win? No, I want the debtors to win because I want the team to go into administration and for them to just not exist. That's who I want to win this championship, this battle. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I want Oracle to like get found out to be some like fraudulent people and like, sorry, we don't have the money for you.
Oh my god!
And I want everything to explode around them. Yeah, that's my answer. What's your answer?
They have too much money, sadly.
I wish that
if
I pray hard enough, Ya Allah will do it for me. Okay. That's what my mom taught me when I was growing up as a child. If you pray hard enough, you get it.
I'm gonna give it to Max.
Okay.
Moving on.
Like I said, I'm giving it to the debtors. Okay.
I'm here for it.
Mercedes AMG Petronas Formula One team. Who do you think, Roy?
Lewis, baby. Look, we're having a perfect season. 23 for 23.
For me, I don't think it's Lewis. I think it's Sir Lewis Carl Davidson Hamilton, son of Anthony, brother of Nicholas. That's who I think 7-time world champion, 103-time pole sitter, 103-time race winner, breaker of records, champion,
unbent, unbroken,
champion of the week, fighter for the voice for the voiceless, slay king, stuff my dreams are made of.
Slayer of demons, aka Red Bull, Christian Horner,
creator.
All of them.
Please don't mention that name on my podcast. Creator of First Traps. I think this year, oh Lord, I'm praying to you. Let Mike Elliott have done his job. Lord, let Mike Elliott deliver and give my man the goods to be able. So I don't want him to even be, honestly, he's even smiling too much. I want him to just be there. He just show up on Friday morning, leave on Sunday evening, and by the time the person in P2 is crossing the finish line, he's already showered.
He's at the hotel.
He's already showered and he has moved on to the interview. Like, I want him to be like, in fact, I'm not paying interview. What's the fine? I'll pay you the fine instead of doing the interview. This man is too nice. And I said this on my Twitter, soft plug at Formula Sexy. I am only here. I will do it so Lewis does not have to. Like, I will do it so Lewis doesn't have to. Like, obviously Lewis, as a Black man, cannot show his emotions the way certain people can, lest he be castigated. Lest he be castigated and harassed and abused, even in silence. They found a way to make him a villain. So I will continue to be rude. I will continue to fight because, like, Lewis can tell me to move on. I will still not move on. Like I said the other day on Spaces, like, I don't forgive, I don't forget. That's for God. That's not for me. Like, I'm gonna be here. I will not forget and I will not forgive them.
Anyone who thinks Team LH should be like Lewis and be nice and conciliatory, like, you guys need to understand. We love Lewis, but we don't do everything he said. Lewis doesn't fight.
I eat meat.
For him.
Like, I eat a lot of meat. Like, if Lewis saw the amount of meat I ate, he would not like me. I eat that much meat. So Lewis is he's not gospel. He's not my Bible.
Yeah.
But I love him.
We love him because of who he is. We don't do what he tells us. We are not robots. Okay, I promise.
But I love him and I will fight for him.
So, and on top of wanting Lewis to win this year, I want George to be in a tough battle for second place. I want George to get second in the drivers, but I want it to be a tough battle, and I want Lewis to just annihilate George. So no one can ever come to me with this. These other people. I want them to be like, maybe George isn't as good as we thought he was. I want them to, every person.
Or I want them to be like,
I want
you see, let me tell you, what happens when people fight Lewis and he beats them? They're like, oh, maybe this person wasn't as good. Instead of recognizing this person is as good as you thought he was. Lewis Hamilton is just great. He's just great. He's rewriting the history books. He's doing. What else can this man, what can he not do? Well, obviously date a Black woman, but that's a conversation for another day. Let me not come for my man like that. There's no need. Like, no, Lewis is amazing.
Lewis is Lewis. He is the greatest who's ever done it. And
to ever do it, will ever do it.
Like, period. Exactly. Like, he is the best.
Quick fire. Constructors' predictions. Where do you think the teams will be?
If I'm being genuine, I think it'll be Mercedes. It will be Ferrari, Red Bull. I honestly, I don't know between Ferrari and Red Bull. I don't know between those two. So let's just do 2 and 3. After them, I'm going to give it to, I can't see McLaren dropping that far down. I feel like they're going to figure it out. It's a long season. So I'm going to give McLaren 4th, Alpha back to 5th. Aston, I'm going to be a little controversial here. I'm going to give it to Williams, Alfa Romeo, Haas, and then Alpine.
Okay, I feel like we have the same one. But mine is Red Bull. I think, okay, no, mine is, sorry, God forbid. Mine is awkward.
Please correct yourself.
Okay.
Blood of Jesus.
That is not what I sound like, by the way. And it is racist.
I'm not saying what you sound
that
like.
is what I sound
no,
like.
I have my Nigerian friends here, okay?
They don't sound like that either. You just think they do. Mercedes and Ferrari, I'm not sure who's going to be top, to be honest. If I'm being honest, like as a team, like which one will have the better car? Like I'm not doubting like what Lewis can do, but I'm just saying I feel like the cars, I feel like by the time Mercedes get their work done and everything, I feel like we'll be on par with Ferrari.
Okay.
When Mercedes get their issues sorted. And I think and then I think Red Bull, and if McLaren can sort their issues out, then they're gonna be like around where Red Bull is, I feel. But if they can't, then who knows? Then
that's about the same so far.
Then then AlphaTauri and Aston Martin, I feel like I'm gonna have like similar pace.
Yeah, no, we're pretty spot on so far.
Then Williams, Alfa Romeo, Alpine, Haas.
Okay, so I think we just switched around the last 3.
And it's not that the thing is I can't actually, that last 3, I just don't know. Like I actually don't, like I've just given something, but I feel like it could end up either way, or like they could shock us and like be, because I just felt like Alfa Romeo and Haas on track looked better than Alpine.
Yeah.
But Alpine can't be like, they can't have like, they literally had the same car for 4 years because they were working, not 4 years, but like the same concept car for like 3 years because they were like, this is the year, so like, can it be that bad? Like, it's just.
So for me, it's just their engine. I don't, if they focus so much, if they forgot about reliability and just went for power, and we're not seeing the power now, like, what does that speak about your reliability? So like, I don't know where to put them. Haas, they went last year to build a car this year, but they're an outfit that just is basically like a kit of parts. They just kind of like wholesale things and then just try and put a car together. So like, who knows if that philosophy has changed, or that the money they saved last year was able to help them this year? We don't know, right? I'm kind of putting it on K-Mag and Mick to maybe like give them some results. Then we get to Williams. Again, with Williams, we genuinely have no idea, right? They did pretty good last year, but that could be largely due to George kind of really fully getting into his own and understanding the car. Yes, it got better. But again, they've had some testing trouble, so we don't know what they're doing. So it's really hard. And then Alfa Romeo, they've just been like poo-poo. Like, strangely, like I thought they'd be a better team this year, and they're still just crap in the bed. So
I think they've been better. I think they've had reliability issues, but when they've been on track, the car has looked good.
Like for me, with those last 3 teams, I'm judging their cars just as much as I'm judging their drivers, because I feel like their cars are way too hard to figure out. But then
if you're doing that, I feel like then Alpine's gonna have to pull it out of the bag because they have the better driver lineup. But I will say, like with Alpine, like with Alfa Romeo, I do think like of the 3 teams at the bottom that we think, I think because of Valtteri, they'll probably be able to have the most development, because Valtteri is known for like giving feedback on like where like he really has that down. And like which is why it's a good thing that Haas got K-Man, because like imagine Mega Mazepin trying to like guide you. But no, yeah. So I'm excited for. Okay, no, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not excited for this season. I'm excited to see Lewis. Like,
Yes,
My
that's it. That's the only thing I'm excited for.
My F1 love is very much reduced. Like
Significantly.
Since Lewis has been back, it's come back a little, but like I feel like I need to like.
They have a long way to go to earn me back.
Like for me, it's not even that. It's just like I find myself disliking more and more people in F1. Like before I was on F1 Twitter and before I was like paying attention to the lives of these people behind the scenes, I was like, I love Lewis, but I liked Gasly, I liked Russell a little. I liked Perez. I liked like before 2020, basically. So like 2019 and before, I liked. There was a time I even liked Daniel Ricciardo. See, that was when he beat Vettel though. So for me, it was like ages ago.
Yeah,
Vettel, I
that's
was
fair.
like, okay, let's do this.
For me, I think Abu Dhabi, I was prepared for Lewis to lose. Like after qualifying, I thought Lewis had lost it. I mean, I still believe in him, but I was fully prepared for him to lose it. And had he lost it, I feel like I would still feel the same way about F1 and just what they did, the way they handled it.
I was prepared, but I knew he was gonna win.
No, the moment he took the lead, I never felt comfortable. The entire time, I was like, something could happen until he crosses that checkered line. And I've never felt that way about any other race this whole season.
For me, that's what, okay. So me, like I knew he was gonna do everything he had to do. So I knew like barring divine intervention, which I guess that's what Massey was, like he was gonna, because I knew that start he had it. Because 2014, I remember so vividly. They had that, like Lewis was way ahead. They had that double points nonsense. So Rosberg could still win it. And I just remember like being so nervous. I was like on edge. I was like, oh fuck. I was like so nervous. And then just best start I've ever seen Lewis have until this Abu Dhabi again. Like he was just off. It was so good. Like,
But yeah, did you have anything else you wanted to kind of add on or say before we say sayonara to all of our beautiful listeners?
Did you say sayonara? You're weird.
I did.
You're weird. Anyways, all I want to say is to everybody who made it to this point, because maybe 5 of you.
It's very long.
Maybe 5 of you. Shout out Felix. I know he made it because he's a loyal friend.
Hey, shout out.
I think shout out Tej as well. She definitely made it. Like even if we sound awful, she's gonna stay because like that's what we do for our brethren. That's what we do for our brethren.
We will get better, I promise.
Yes, that's what I actually wanted to say. My final thing was we'll get better as we go along. Like obviously this is our first time doing this. Like I think I've guessed it.
Growing pains.
I've guessed it on a podcast and I was nervous as hell. And the moment we started this, I wasn't nervous. So maybe that's a sign that this is where I was meant to be all along. Tune in next week. There's going to be so much, especially after a race, we're going to have way more to say and a lot more like clarity on where things are. And I'm sure like all these, like, and we didn't even talk about F1 journalists today. So that's going to be a conversation one day because I have so many thoughts and opinions. But thank you so much, guys, for joining. And as always, this is Black AF1 Pod. Bye, darlings.